Hello everyone, we are going to discuss Gramsci. Gramsci refined Marxism and moved away from dogmatic interpretation of Marxism, which say that everything is based upon economic base or material infrastructure. So now let's discuss Gramsci in detail. स्टूडेंट्स, वैसे तो ग्रामसी ने अपने आप को कभी नियो मार्क्सिस्ट या कल्चरल मार्क्सिस्ट नहीं कहा, लेकिन जब उसकी राइटिंग जो प्रेजेंट नोटबुक के फॉर्म में था, जब बाहर आया और लोगों ने उसे इंटरप्रेट करा, तो इंटेलेक्चुअल्स ने ये कहा कि ये नियो मार्क्सिस्ट है या ये कल्चरल मार्क्सिस्ट है। ऐसा लोगों ने इसलिए कहा क्योंकि ग्रामसी की जो राइटिंग थी वो मार्क्स के कोर थ्योरी से अलग था। मार्क्स ने ये कहा कि एवरीथिंग डिपेंड अपॉन इकोनॉमिक इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर और मटेरियल बेस। फॉर एग्जाम्पल, दोज हु कंट्रोल इकोनॉमी दे कंट्रोल एवरीथिंग, बी इट कल्चर, पॉलिटी, एजुकेशन, मीडिया, एवरीथिंग। बट एंटोनियो ग्रामसी ने कहा कि दिस इज नॉट ट्रू, ऐसा नहीं है। दरअसल कल्चर भी एक बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट एस्पेक्ट है रूलर्स के लिए, जो सोसाइटी को रूल करते हैं, तो इसलिए उसे कल्चरल मार्क्सिस्ट कहा गया। एक्चुअली इसने कल्चर को एक इंपॉर्टेंट फैक्टर बताकर मार्क्सिज्म विच वाज डॉगमेटिक इन नेचर और इकोनॉमिक डिटरमिनिस्ट इन नेचर, उसको रिफाइन किया। इस वजह से इसे नियो मार्क्सिस्ट भी कहा गया है। और ग्रामसी का जो एनालिसिस था वो सुपर स्ट्रक्चर के लेवल पे था, यानी इकोनॉमिक डिटरमिनिज्म से वो आगे बढ़ा and he gave importance to culture. अब आप सभी को पता है कि किसी भी थिंकर को समझना है तो उसके सोशियो इकोनॉमिक और सोशियो कल्चरल कॉन्टेक्स्ट को समझना बहुत जरूरी होता है। किसी भी आदमी की थिंकिंग उस पीरियड में सोशल सिनेरियो, इकोनॉमिक, पॉलिटिकल सिचुएशन पे बहुत हद तक डिपेंड करता है। तो ग्रामसी को समझने के लिए ये देखते हैं कि सोशियो इंटेलेक्चुअल सिचुएशंस कैसा था उस वक्त में। तो 1970s में बोल्शेविक रिवॉल्यूशन हो चुका था और बोल्शेविक रिवॉल्यूशन ने वर्ल्ड में एक न्यू थिंकिंग को जन्म दिया, कार्ल मार्क्स के सिद्धांतों पे सोसाइटी को ऑर्गेनाइज करने का, जिसमें प्राइवेट ओनरशिप ऑफ प्रॉपर्टी को अबॉलिश कर दिया जाएगा एंड डिक्टेटरशिप ऑफ प्रोलेटारिएट होगा और अल्टीमेटली एक कम्युनिस्ट सोसाइटी जहां पे हर कोई हैप्पी होगा, हर कोई को अपने इनर सेल्फ को एक्सप्रेस करने का मौका मिलेगा। ऐसा वक्त आ गया था। लेकिन याद रहे कि जैसे ही फर्स्ट वर्ल्ड वॉर खत्म हुआ, उस वक्त फिर आया ईयर्स ऑफ ग्रेट डिप्रेशन, और ग्रेट डिप्रेशन में एक और अच्छी बात हुआ जो कि कम्युनिस्ट के फेवर में गया कि सोवियत यूनियन वर पर्टिकुलरली डूइंग वेरी गुड बिकॉज ऑफ फोर्स इंडस्ट्रियलाइजेशन, कलेक्टिवाइजेशन ऑफ फॉर्म, a new energy among Soviet citizens who believe that a great era has been heralded by revolution led by Lenin. Those days it was said that कि जो सोवियत यूनियन के सिटीजन्स थे वो अपने आप को होमोसेपियंस नहीं समझते थे। वो कुछ होमोसेपियंस रूसियंसिस और होमोसेपियंस सोवियंसिस, कुछ इस तरीके का एक उनमें एक एटीट्यूड आ गया था। और बिकॉज ऑफ ग्रेट डिप्रेशन एक और भी अजीब सा बात हुआ। गाइस, आप सबको पता है कि दुनिया में सबसे ज्यादा किसी कंट्री में लोग जाना चाहते हैं तो वो क्या है? यूएसए, यूनाइटेड स्टेट्स ऑफ अमेरिका। अभी इंडिया में पता है, अगर आप वीजा के लिए अप्लाई करते हैं तो 500 दिन की तो वेटिंग है सिर्फ वीजा इंटरव्यू के लिए। लेकिन ये वो दौर था जब अमेरिका में ग्रेट रिसेशन चल रहा था, जबकि सोवियत यूनियन वाज डूइंग गुड। तो पहली बार हिस्ट्री में अमेरिका से सोवियत यूनियन में माइग्रेशन हुआ। Can you imagine the glorious scenario of Soviet Russia, the kind of revolution that Lenin heralded? But everything was not good in Russia also, that I will discuss. एक चीज और हुआ था कि फर्स्ट वर्ल्ड वॉर खत्म हुआ, उसके बाद रिसेशन आया, तो रिसेशन की वजह से एग्रेसिव नेशनलिज्म राइज करने लगा। बिकॉज एग्रेसिव नेशनलिज्म इन फॉर्म ऑफ प्रोटेक्शनिज्म ऑफ ट्रेड, increasing colonialism. For example, British imposed more taxes on India. Remember all those, the expectation of Gandhi and what British returned to India. So also ideology like Nazism and fascism begin to raise head because they were promising something better in coming time. So imagine those days when Antonio Gramsci was living. One side there was ideology of communism which was saying that we will herald a society in which everybody will equal. But another side, particularly in Italy and Germany, a type of government were propped up by public and by oratory skill of those leaders who said that we have got a very bad deal. Treaty of Versailles, right? That proved very detrimental to German people. And also Italy did not get something from fighting alongside, say, Britain, France and America. So even Italy's situation was bad and right-wing party was raising their head. Now come to next slide. So in 1921, Italian Communist Party was formed and Gramsci was second most important person. It is said that Gramsci was a great orator. He could mesmerize people by his very convincing spells. So wherever Antonio Gramsci was giving their speech, large number of people gathered. So in 1922, he visited Russia. When he went to Russia, then an interesting thing happened. He fell in love with a Russian girl and he got married. What? Russian girls are beautiful. Oh, you are underestimating our Indian girls. Anyway, so by 2024, Gramsci became head of Italian Communist Party. Right? In 1926, Gramsci became averse of Stalin. So, Lenin died in, I think, 1924. And after that, Stalin grabbed the power in Soviet Union. And what Stalin did, that he began to purge all great leaders in Communist Party. And that was not liked by Gramsci. So he became averse of Stalin and he supported the Leon Trotsky faction. Right? After that, in 1926, fascist government enacted emergency measures in Italy. What happened that the growing popularity of Communist Party in Italy, fascist government enacted emergency measure. But by election, Antonio Gramsci has entered to the Italian parliament. In 1926, he got the first opportunity to give speech in parliament. And his speech was so convincing and wonderful that fascist government got alarmed. And what did Gramsci say? Gramsci ne kaha ki we are in majority and you fascist people are in minority. We will topple you and we will grab the power from you and will distribute all the power to communists. And this led to very serious churning among right-wingers. So right-wingers ne decide kiya कि this guy need to be arrested and put behind bars. Immediately he was arrested. He was a parliamentarian. तो उसके पास इम्यूनिटी थी, लेकिन इम्यूनिटी के बाद भी फासिस्ट गवर्नमेंट ने उसको अरेस्ट करके प्रिजन में डाल दिया. इंडियन पार्लियामेंट में इम्यूनिटी होता है, आप पार्लियामेंट में गाली दे दे, कुछ भी करें, आपको कोई अरेस्ट नहीं कर सकता. इटली में भी वैसी ही इम्यूनिटी ग्राम्सी और सभी पार्लियामेंटेरियन को था. बट फासिस्ट गवर्नमेंट तो फासिस्ट गवर्नमेंट है. दे वेंट अहेड क्वेश्चनिंग ऑल लिबर्टी और से दैट a parliamentary immunity of Gramsci, and he was put behind bars. Once he was put behind bars, he was not given fair trial and subjected to 20 years of rigorous imprisonment. And when he was kept behind bars, he was very surprised. He thought that, what happened to me? Why Lenin succeeded in heralding revolution in Soviet Union, but I am kept behind bars and no idea when I will come out. So he began to think that अरे यार ये क्या हो गया, होना तो रिवॉल्यूशन था. अल्टीमेटली मुझे करना यह था कि राइट विंग पार्टी को थ्रैश करके पावर में ग्रैब करूंगा एंड पावर आई विल शेयर टू एवरीवन, प्रोलेटारियत के बीच में. लेकिन ये तो उल्टा हुआ. इस बार तो राइट विंगर ने हमें पटक के मार दिया और जेल के पीछे डाल दिया. अरे ये कैसे हो गया? तो अब उसने जेल में सोचना शुरू करा. And he was a very bright writer. So he kept on writing his experiences. He interpreted German history. He interpreted Italian history. he interpreted so many things that he observed that ultimately ऐसा हुआ कैसे कि मेरे को prison में डाल दिया गया. Ultimately I should be the torch bearer of revolution. So why revolution failed in Italy? And he kept on writing. He has written voluminous number of notebooks and pages, at least 30 notebooks and 3,000 pages. But those pages did not came out until, say, that the Mussolini government was defeated and Second World War happened. So it came out around 1947. Then these things was re-examined and conceptualized in form of a notebook called Prison Notebook. Alright? So in Prison Notebook, the main concern is why proletarian revolution did not happen in Italy. So Gramsci argued that capitalist state ruled by force as well as coercion. So capitalist state is very clever. So they use force as well as consent. Rule by consent is hegemony. Right? So what is hegemony? It is set of ideas by which dominant group secure consent of subordinate group. So force is used as last resort. Therefore, consent is most important in ruling. And this consent is manufactured. How? Through ethical, moral and cultural discourses. Gramsci termed it cultural hegemony. So the cultural hegemony or the dominance of ruling class in culture. For example, nationalism, right? For example, rule of law, right? These things, for example, ideology of nation state, ideology of hatred against communist. These all was trick or ideas of ruling class or the fascist government in Italy through which they continue to rule or subjugated communists like Gramsci. Coming to next slide. So Gramsci said, state is the part of superstructure, but state can be classified into political society that rule by force or civil society that rule by consent. For Gramsci, civil society is very important. Why? Because it is the civil society where cultural hegemony operates. And Antonio Gramsci collectively both political society and civil society, he called it integral state. So essentially, his level of analysis is superstructure, while Karl Marx's level of analysis is economic base or material infrastructure. So here, Gramsci differed from Marx. Understand? So, Russia revolution happened as in Russia, civil society was not well developed. Russia was backward when Russian revolution died. So, in Italy, revolution requires two things. Gramsci contemplated, Gramsci tried to interpret why did revolution fail in Italy. And he said, in Italy, revolution required two things. First, war of position and then war of maneuver. So what is war of position? War of position is ideological and cultural revolution. He called it passive revolution. Means first, there is a hegemony of bourgeoisie of ruling state or capitalist state. To counter that, they have to create counter hegemony and take control of civil society. So the first thing that proletariat have to do is take control of civil society, and he called that war of position. Once civil society is under control, so ideology, education, everything is under control of proletariat, then direct action will be taken, and that is called war of maneuver. So in ideological war, proletarian need organic intellectual. He also talked about intellectual, and he said that there are two types of intellectual. One is traditional intellectual, second is organic intellectual. Who are the traditional intellectual? Traditional intellectual are one who has nothing to do with process of production. For example, priest, right? So priest has nothing to do with process of production. While organic intellectual are those, for example, say, professors, right? Trade union leaders. These people will convince masses that proletariat has to control civil society, right? Then only war of maneuver will take place. So he classified intellectual into two classes. So organic intellectual, one who will prepare background for revolution in Italy. How? By capturing civil society and developing counter hegemony, right? Here I have mentioned one quote of Antonio Gramsci that all men are intellectual, but not all men have in society the function of intellectual. Now guys, you think you are intellectual because all men are intellectual, but are you doing the real function of intellectual? Are you creating any awakening? Or just तुम ये जो TV debate है उसमें busy हो, right? So anyway, come to the last slide. That due to censorship, Gramsci refrained from words like class and he used the word subalterns. अब तो subaltern एक perspective है and it has taken very different meaning. But remember जब वो prison में था तो he was allowed to write, but he was not allowed to write whatever he wanted. So he was censored. So due to that censored, he would say that some milder word compared to class, and he used the terminology called subaltern. And by 1937, situation, say the physical or the bodily situation of Gramsci deteriorated rapidly. Gramsci had tuberculosis in his childhood, and when he was imprisoned in unhygienic condition, again he was struck by tuberculosis, right? So, he was very short stature, not more than 5 feet. And when tuberculosis happened, and he also have other diseases like atherosclerosis and cardiac issue, so he was vomiting blood with cough because, tuberculosis spoil your lung, right? So on humanitarian ground, he was shifted to house arrest, and then the process was going on that government might release him, but before he was released, he could die. So he endured the torment of fascist government, yet he was able to write something which came later on as a prison notebook, and it revolutionized Marxism. I would say that it made Marxism relevant even today. Neo-Marxism, cultural Marxism, you can easily observe that how in cultural sphere, ruling class or say bourgeoisie state dominate, for example, ideology of nationalism. You have seen that how, and it's not only any country, it happened in our country, it happened in neighborhood, it happened everywhere. Understand? So, last I would say that Antonio Gramsci end was tragic, but his intellectual legacy is great. यहाँ पे आप थोड़े से flower देख सकते हो इसके graves पे. All right. So, I will say that certainly Gramsci was a great intellectual, but he could not understand in what country he was living and what kind of, say, socio-political and cultural atmosphere was present. I will come with another lecture. Thank you so much for watching it. Please do like and subscribe my channel. Thank you so much.